G'day, fellas. Long time no see. Hope you guys are all doing well. I think it's been 6 days since I've uploaded a video, so apologies for the bit of the cold shoulder, but good news, we've got a patch, and it is an absolute cracker. 11.009 is what we're going into, so let's take a look and see exactly what we've got. In patch 11.009, we're focused on responding to a number of items you, as the players, have brought to our attention. As always, we appreciate you for acting as our compass as we continue to balance and improve. This time around, we're making some general changes to Siege to ensure there's sufficient counterplay, making changes to reduce animation cancellings, thank fuck, impact on rate of fire to refocus on high-level strategy, and doing another pass on balance for a variety of our civilizations. Read on for a full list of patch notes, including in-depth developer descriptions. Wonderful. All right, so this patch, I've already had a look through. I can tell you now, that's a 10. You know, you guys know the meme, like the ice cream guy, like, that's a 10. Like this patch, that's a 10. Let's get into the patch. Let's talk about it. Let's have a look and see what the first thing is. So we've got general. We've made improvements to the animation cancelling issues previously called out by players. We'll be keeping an eye out for your feedback to make additional adjustments in this area. But with this patch, units can no longer easily perform faster attacks than intended by issuing a move command after attacking and to cancel the cooldown between hits. Hallelujah. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I just felt like every single game I was casting at a high level, it's animation cancel. And, you know, like people from the very beginning of the game, the scouts animation canceling on the villages, on the docks, it just like went absolutely out of control to the point where cavalry became so dominant because you could animation cancel it that people would only make cavalry and then animation cancel it. And it was just like, I mean, I'll be honest with you, like the reason why I haven't made a video in 6 days is because I just wasn't enjoying watching it. I really wasn't. And like, obviously, you know, I take a hit when it comes to that. I make my livelihood through YouTube, and, you know, I'd love to be enjoying it and making it, but the reality is I wasn't. But this, fortunately, is going to fix things up and going to bring that focus back to strategic decisions, which is exactly what Age of Empires is all about. I'm not here to watch animation cancelling cavalry units all day. So thank God this is a short chapter in Age of Empires 4. And we can move on to the good stuff now. Fixed a bug where palisade walls could no longer be targeted. This is a great change. A very, very weirdly exploited bug. Corix, I'm looking at you, mate. Only a very few people abused this, but good thing that it's been fixed. Trebuchet projectiles now deal area of effect damage when missing their intended target. This is great. Great change because, as I noted in the very beginning of the game, like, the English get this unique trebuchet. I think it mentions it here. English civilizations shattering projectiles. So they get this unique technology for their trebuchets to make it more powerful. But I was like, that's a terrible upgrade. No one should ever get that because trebuchets are just useless against units anyway. Who knows? Maybe we actually start to see trebuchets be like a long distance shelling type of unit, but not just for buildings, like obviously primarily for buildings, but then, you know, that guy's got 5 trebuchets, like, he's killing me. Like, who knows? We'll see, but we'll keep an eye on that. Fixed a bug where incendiary ships damage range increases significantly after researching the explosive tech. A beautiful bug, thank God it's been fixed. Fixed a bug where incendiary ships were exploding 2 or even more times in some cases to keep the unit balanced. We've increased the explosion damage 300 to 400. Hold on, wait, to keep the unit... Oh, okay. So they've increased the damage of the explosions, but they've reduced the amount of explosions. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but we were watching this game on Danube River, and essentially, like, players were walling it off with stone walls, and they would bring the demo ships right up to the stone walls and demo it, and you could actually, if you slowed down the video enough, you could watch the shockwave go out as the health on each individual, like, piece of the wall would go down. It was wild, man. There was like 7 or 8 different, like, doosh, 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 doosh. It just looked like a giant explosion. But anyway, scout cost increased from 60 to 70. If you want to read the developer note, I'm not going to go into it, but this is just an absolutely great change. I really like this. Another indirect nerf to cavalry that we're continuing to see, which I like. This is a great change. Really going to affect the Rus as well, because this is their big guy. This is one of their main units once you enter into 10-15 minutes into the game. Great change. Fishing. Changes to shorefish. fishing ship harvest rate reduced from 0.75 to 0.66. So note that they haven't actually reduced the rate of villagers gathering from shorefish, just fishing ships. And then shorefish reduced from 1,000 to 500 food. Changes to deep fish. Fishing ship harvest rate reduced from 1.1 to 1.0. Deep fish reduced from 2,000 to 1,000 food. I cannot tell you guys how important this change is. This is such a huge change. Typically, players look at the water as if you win the water, you win the game. And it's probably going to stay the same for the most part. Oh, you know what? It's probably not. And the reason why is because you've now got less longevity in that water. So it really brings it away from sort of, if you had water control, you've got infinite fish, right? Because you've got deep fish that you're gathering from. They regenerate over time. And you've got infinite fish. But now it's a little bit different. Now you've got less fish that's close to you, so you're going to have to go further out, so it becomes less efficient. So now you almost get to this point where it's like, yeah, it's good, but once it gets super late game, you're obviously just going to want villagers instead because, it takes resources to invest in them, but it just works out to be better because they're going to be having a lot more upgrades. They're just going to be doing so much more work. And I'd love to see like some calculations on deep fish and the returns on it and the distances. Spirit of the Law, I'm not sure if you watch my videos, mate, but if you do, big shout out to you. I absolutely love your stuff. I'm throwing an idea out there. Let's have a look at the deep fish changes right now, and let's have a look like between all the upgrades that you can get on your fishing boats. At what point does it become better for you to have a villager versus a fishing boat? I'd love to know, but I'm nowhere near qualified to come to some sort of conclusion like that. But this is a great change, and I'm immensely happy with this. Such a smart move, and definitely something needed. So great job from them. Well, I just remembered, there's one part of these patch notes I have a real problem with. It's not the siege part, okay? It's after the siege part. Remember that meme I was doing earlier? That's a 10. It's not a 10, all right? We'll call it a 9, okay? But don't worry. It's not a big deal. We'll get there. No, you know what? It is a big deal. It needs to be fixed. I'm calling you out, developers. But you better stay through to the end of the video, developers, because you need to know what you got to fix. I know what you got to fix already. I'm not even going to give you a hint, but we'll get through to it. Let's go. Let's go have a look at the siege. Siege formation catch-up speed reduced from 100% down to 40%. This is a great change as well. So when units in formations reposition, they get a speed bonus. This value maxes out at 40% for infantry and cavalry. However, siege units were moving much faster, and this could make them difficult to chase down, even with cavalry. We've standardized this value to 40% to remove the siege race car effect. This was something that you would always see and even do. Like you could actually manipulate it to do it, and I would move my bombards faster, and it was great when you're playing China and you get like the speed upgrade that gives like the armor as well, and then you would also go into the Yuan dynasty and you get like race car, like quite literally race car siege, and you would like pull them back when they get out a little bit too far. It was great. So really good change because that was a big exploit. Horsemen, camel riders, fire lancers, and knights torch bonus damage versus siege increase from 10 to 20. Another great change. This is going to mean that when you've got like, how many times have you guys had like 5 or 6 scouts or horsemen or knights or whatever it is, and you go up to like an enemy nest of bees, and they've just got like 6 or 7 villages around it, and they're just repairing it. Well, good news. They might be able to actually burst it down now with those villages on top. Like, they might be able to like burst it and just kill it immediately. I mean, if there's enough villages, they're still probably going to be able to out-heal it. So that's what that change is looking at, and that's a great change. Bombard health reduced from 480 to 400. See additional changes to Chinese Civ-specific bombard health below. Wonderful. That is exactly what needs to happen. I have held the position that bombards are overpowered for a very long time. The Culverin in particular is a unit that is, in my opinion, useless. So this is a great way to make it a little bit more viable. I still think it is still probably going to need a bit of a buff. Maybe give it a bit of a range buff. Give it +2 range. Because, yeah, this is still going to be very difficult for them to deal with, but we'll talk more about that. Siege weapons now also deal their bonus damage versus ships. Wonderful change. Great change. We noticed this when Springlords got nerfed. We're like, wait a minute, how do we kill ships now? If the enemy's got like a whole bunch of ships, like what do I even do against that? And the answer was, well, nothing really. So fortunately, you know, bombards are actually going to be very good against ships now. Great change. Adjustments made across the board to reduce siege movement speed. So we see bombards have been reduced, springles, mangonels, and nest of bees. Everything has come down. Absolutely wonderful change. Really, really good stuff. Super happy with this. The less mobility on these, the better it's going to be. My main concern is that obviously when you do this, like, cavalry is already very strong. I think once we take away animation canceling, we're going to need to reassess the situation. We're going to need to reassess like the playing board. But my main concern is that cavalry is still cavalry is already really strong, and if you just make these units even slower, but like this is still definitely like the right thing to do. Don't worry, I'm not complaining. That's 100% what you do. Abbasid Dynasty Changes. Here we go. Abbasid age up time reduced from 120 to 105 seconds for every age. That's 15 seconds an age. So you got to think about it. When they're fast castling, that's an extra 30 seconds. That's, you know, you're going to have your Mangonel out 30 seconds faster. But you need to remember that in addition to that, everything else comes out faster as well. So let's say you get up to the second age, you can drop your second town center. Your third town center comes down faster because you've had everything up 15 seconds faster. So really nice change for them. I'm not going to read this one because, I mean, I understand why they've done it. Abbasid, not the strongest civilization. Changes in the right direction. Abbasid Dynasty and Delhi Sultanate shared changes. So increased explosive Dow detonation range from 1 to 2 tiles, so it matches the intended explosion radius. Great, as long as we can get some uniformity in that is wonderful. Dow damage increased from 8 to 10. Beautiful change. The Dow was by far weakest of the arrow ships. We've increased its damage to be competitive with options of the other civs. Wonderful. They're actually going to be meaningful, but now I'm kind of a little bit scared of Delhi. Like, think about it. Delhi, the king in age 1, and now viable in age 2. Concerning. But we'll see how that goes. Berry harvest bonus increased from 25 to 30%. Berry carry capacity increased from 10 to 13. So this is a really interesting change, and I love this. It's a very smart change. And the developers explain why. So we found many players preferring to take sheep over berries because it saved villager walk time. That's very true. Our intention is for the Delhi Sultanate and Abbasid Dynasty to play differently from the start with an added focus on gathering berries. And I've even seen players like Salami. He will put down a second mill next to his starting mill so his villagers don't have to walk that far to get to the next batches of berries. So like, this is a great change that addresses that. I think that sheep are still going to be a very reasonable option, but they're probably going to be on par with, you know, the little extra walking distance that happens now. So really cool change. So great changes there. My only concern is that the Delhi, I don't know about you guys, but they're already pretty good. They're already getting up there. And that this is like, I mean, obviously it's good for both civs, but obviously the Delhi in particular, it gets a bit concerning. We'll have to watch them. We'll have to wait. We'll have to see. But my suspicion is they're going to continue to move up higher and higher. We've seen their win percentage just continue to increase across tournaments and on the ladder itself. I copped a lot of criticism earlier when I did my tier list, and I said Delhi is S tier, and I based it off tournament statistics, but we quickly saw that the real ladder statistics as well indicated that Delhi, as well as the Mongols, were the outliers when it came to win percentages. So we'll have to see how that affects it. But moving on, the Chinese, my main squeeze. Let's have a look and see how they've been changed. So Chinese Clock Tower Bombard health reduced from 720 to 600. This is a great change. So keep in mind that they've got other bonuses that can stack on top of that. So you've got your Ming Dynasty bonus, which gives 10%. And you've also got the upgrade, which also gives, I want to say 20%, but I'm not 100% sure. This is a big change. Official unit, so that's your Imperial official, can no longer use supervise on landmarks. Now, at first I was like, that's not fair. But then I'm like, well, it kind of makes sense, all right? Because as the developers say, supervising the clock tower means effective output of the landmark is tripled. This level of power was creating less varied and interesting unit comps as they could make such a large and powerful mass of siege units. This is 100% correct. There's a reason why I called this landmark S tier. Literally, out of the Chinese landmarks, you have the Chinese clock tower, or the what's it called? The Imperial clock tower? Gosh, astronomical clock tower. Gosh, I almost forgot. You've got the astronomical clock tower, which is S+, and every other landmark is like barely a D tier. Like, it's crazy the difference in power. So this sort of brings those back into line. I think this is a good change because I don't think there's ever really a time that you're going to be needing to sort of pump out these units really, really fast, other than like post-Imperial. I think that's pretty much it. For the most part, it's going to be okay. Let me turn that music down. That music seems a little bit loud, at least for me. I don't know about you guys. Yeah, so I think the only time this really comes into effect is post-Imperial, or maybe in like the early Imperial stages when, you know, you've just clicked up and you've got 2k of each resource and you're just going to spam out a whole bunch. Because you're still going to be able to trickle out units very, very easily from this. So I don't think it's a big issue. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a very good change. Reload drills, reload bonus time reduced from 33 to 20%. Another great change. As I mentioned, you know, when you start stacking up 600 HP or like the HP bonus plus the reload bonus plus like the range bonus, which it doesn't look like they've targeted. So they're sort of keeping the civilization identity here, but still nerfing that aspect. I think this is a really good change. So it says here, reload speed reductions are extremely powerful. These technologies were some of the highest outputs in the game. We brought them down to be in line with similar unit enhancements like incendiary arrows and chemistry. Really good change. Nestabee's damage versus ships increased from 0 to 4. Does that mean it literally did nothing to ships? That's a good change. I agree with that one. Fixed a bug where the Imperial officials' tax collection cooldown sometimes didn't trigger. Wonderful. That is a great bug fix. Can we just add like 17 other Imperial official bugs onto this list as well? The most basic one would be if you tell an Imperial official to supervise a building and it's carrying gold, don't make it ignore your request. Don't be like, oh, I know you told me to supervise that building over there, sir, but you see I'm carrying 20 gold and I gotta head back to the town center to drop this bad boy off. Because that infuriates me. But I don't know why my Imperial officials have like a southern accent. Like, it's just been out on the cotton farm, like, a mighty fine day, sir. Anyway, let's move on. Our Texan Imperial officials have got a lot of work to do. Holy Roman Empire. Increase the prelate base movement speed from 1 to 1.12. This is a big buff, primarily for bringing in the relics. Prelates are a critical piece of the HRE. They're intended to be repositioned within the economy, as well as move with the army to heal and buff units with the inspired warriors. Increase the movement speed helps prelates perform both their roles more effectively. My only suggestion here would be, can we please reduce the movement speed of prelates when they're carrying relics? Just so that there's a little bit more counterplay there, because you're going to go buff up their movement speed like that. They're going to be able to carry them faster. And it's going to make it, you know, it could be the difference between, you know, a person getting a relic in a Regnitz and not, or a person getting the a relic in their hands or not. Like, there's a whole bunch of things, and it just makes, you know, as I mentioned, it's about counterplay. So will it affect many games? Probably not, but it's about about that perceived ability to counterplay. Inspire cast range increased from 3 to 4 tiles. Another great change, really big here. And so these changes nerf the Ark and Chapel as well, because it makes the prelate as a base unit a lot more desirable to have. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see Minework Chapel coming out, and, you know, 2 prelates as you age up as the basic, or as the standard. So we'll have to see how it goes. Mongols. All right, you guys remember earlier in the video I shouted out to the developers and I said, hey devs, there's a part of this patch that I'm not too fond of. We've reached that part. Several changes made to adjust raid. So the base level of the raid ability reduced from 50 to 25. Raid bounty upgrade bonus decreased from 75 to 50. Raid bounty improved upgrade bonus decreased from 100 to 75. Look, I don't know how many Mongol players you guys have got on the dev team. Like, what's going on in there? But you need to start getting serious about this shit, because I am absolutely sick of casting Mongol mirrors in every tournament game, and it's not going to fucking change after this patch. So let's get serious about nerfing this civ. It is a powerhouse, an absolute powerhouse in the early game, in the mid game, in the late game. Let's get serious about nerfing. I think at the bare minimum, let's nerf the early game. Move the Uvu to age 2. I don't care. Increase the cost of the Uvu to 200 wood. Make them chop an extra 50 wood. I don't care. Just reduce their speed, because right now they're too quick. They begin an early advantage that they continue to compound, and it just means that they're just incredibly strong. You know, I really don't think that raid ability is that much of a big deal. I really don't. I think most people know how to play around it. Obviously, if a Mongol player is playing Age 2, then sure. I mean, they deserve to have their raid bounty. Age 1, you're typically not going to be giving up too much bounty to them. And this doesn't affect Tower Rush Fast Castle at all, which is like what we see in 99% of games, at least. The games that I cast where a Mongol player is playing, it's like Tower Rush into Fast Castle every single time. You know, it's actually, no, I take that back. There was one game where it didn't happen, and the Mongol player played so fucking terribly that he should have lost the game and he didn't. And you want to know why? Because he was fucking Mongols. I'm sorry. I've said a lot of fucks. I'm Australian. I'm allowed to say fuck. It is my cultural right to say the F word and to not be disparaged for it. But anyway, we need to seriously nerf the Mongols, please. This is not. I mean, this is great. Let's get serious, though. Schedule it for Monday, please. Actually, it's probably Monday. Just schedule it this afternoon. Talk about it. All right, Rus, high armory technology. Fine-tuned guns, reload bonus time reduced from 33 to 20%. Another great change. I'd probably like to see their Springled tech reduced from 1.5 to 1 as well. Their Springleds are insane. I'm still of the opinion that Rus late game is the best in the game, and these Chinese changes definitely only continue to push that further. But let's take a look and see what's next. So that's the patch roundup at the moment. So just to talk about that, it's a really strong patch. With the exception of the Mongols, I'm incredibly happy with everything. The Rus changes are on point. We've got the Hre changes, which I mentioned about, another great change that makes Archon Chapel a little bit less desirable, makes Minework Palace a little bit more desirable. Chinese changes, it needed to happen. The Chinese needed to be nerfed. Whether you think the Chinese aren't strong or whether you think they are strong, you cannot deny the fact that in the late game, they were absolute menaces. And it needed to be reined in, and that is a good change. Abbasid changes, really, really good. Delhi changes, a little bit concerning, but, you know, we'll wait. We'll see how they unfold. And the siege changes, really good changes. And, yeah, the fishing changes, oh, my God, that's probably my favorite part of it, because it means if you lose the water, game's not over. Sure, you're at a disadvantage, but the game's not over. Like, the food that your enemy's going to get, really not that big. Scout change is beautiful. And, of course, the most important part of this, it is animation cancelling finally being removed. But let's take a look and see what they've got coming up next. It's important because, you know, sometimes they're hiding little tidbits in there, so we'll check and we'll see. With the last two patches, we've been focused on responding to many of the prominent balance and bug-related elements you told us would improve your experience with Age of Empires 4. They mustn't read the Mongol ones. They put them to the shredder. Following this patch, we'll be keeping an eye out for your feedback to better understand what other changes we might bring into play prior to our spring update, referencing the community roadmap here. The team's also monitoring matchmaking, wait times, and investigating additional steps to further improve this experience across skill levels and offer competitive opponents without prolonged wait times. For those of you who are able to join us in the ranked seasons preview last week, that was me. Thanks. Actually, can I say it was me? Yeah, I can say it was me. It was me. We deeply appreciate your time and feedback as we prepare to introduce 1v1 ranked seasons. We hope you enjoyed an early view of some of the quality of life features included in the preview as well. We're still refining these elements and really enjoyed seeing them in use. Finally, we wanted to answer a question we've heard a few times, namely, will Age of Empires 4 have a public update preview? Ooh, a pup. The answer is yes. We'll be continuing the journey, the definitive. What did I get doxed by my right click then? Last pass, block element. Not really. I'm all good. I didn't get doxed by my right click. We'll have more details to share later this month regarding the timing of our first pup, as well as our goals with the program. Known issues. You can find known issues here. Doesn't look like anything. All right. Well, that's it. Well, fellas, look. Overall, I'm pretty happy with that. I think we got to finish it with the meme. Give me a sec. Like, we got to get, like, I got to go to YouTube, and I just got to type in, like, that's a 10. That's a 10 ice cream. Yep. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Hold it here. This is 39 seconds. Okay.
So in tasting, what we do is take a small amount right off the top. It doesn't take much. That's the warmest part right here. I'm going to invert the spoon. Cover all 9,000 taste bud. Aerate it. Warm it up. Driving up that top note.
I haven't seen this edit.
Cream.
This is good.
Pure vanilla. Sweeteners. That's a 10.
I have not seen that edit. That was pretty good. All right. Well, there you go. There you guys go, fellas. That's as close to a 10 as you'll get, with the exception of those Mongol changes. Big shout out to the developers. You guys have done a great job. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.